At 19, sold for a cow, she met a lone mountain man who treated her like a queen. The sky over Kestrel Ridge looked like hammered steel. Thick clouds rolled low over the mountain peaks, and the wind carried sharp ice that stung the skin. Far below, the valley settlement of Dry Creek Station clung to the rocky ground like a stubborn weed. The place was small, poor, and always cold. People here did not dream big. They counted their food, watched their heaters, and prayed the storms would not last too long. Lena stood outside her family's cabin with her hands pressed into her coat pockets. She was 19, slim and quiet, but her eyes were alert. She had learned early that on a frontier planet, feelings did not keep you alive. Heat did, food did, good water did. Behind her, inside the cabin, she could hear voices. Her father's voice was low and rough, like stone scraping stone. Her stepmother's voice was sharp and fast. Someone else was there too, a stranger from the mountain route. Lena did not want to go back inside, not yet. A weak light flickered from the small solar lamp by the door. The power grid was unstable today. It always was when the storm bands passed close. Kestrel Ridge was not like Earth. The planet's weather had a strange rhythm, like it was breathing hard in its sleep. Some people said the mountains were full of metal that pulled storms in. Others said it was old machines under the ground, still running from a time nobody remembered. Lena did not know what was true. She only knew she was tired of being cold. The cabin door opened. Warm air rushed out for a second, then disappeared into the wind. Her father stepped outside. He was thin now, with hollow cheeks. His jacket was patched in 10 places, and his eyes were rimmed red from sleepless nights. "Lena," he said. She did not answer at once. She kept looking toward the mountains. In the distance, the peaks rose like dark teeth. Somewhere up there lived a man people whispered about, a lone mountain rancher, a man who kept to himself and did not come down unless he had to. Her father cleared his throat. "Come in." She followed him inside. The cabin smelled of burnt oil and boiled roots. A small heater in the corner hissed weakly. The stranger sat at the table with a cup of hot water in his hands. He wore a thick scarf and snow goggles pushed up on his forehead. He looked like a courier or a trader. On the floor near the door was a crate stamped with a red seal, Vita Gen Livestock. Lena's eyes went to the crate. Everyone knew what that label meant. Real livestock, not the thin, sickly bugs people sometimes raised, not lab-grown paste. A real animal that could produce milk and fertilizer and heat in the barn. Her stepmother, Myra, stood behind the stranger with her arms crossed. Her face was hard and satisfied, like she had finally won something. Her father sat down slowly as if his bones hurt. The stranger glanced at Lena. "You're the girl?" Lena's stomach tightened. Her father rubbed his hands together. "Yes." The stranger nodded once and looked back at the crate like it was the only thing that mattered. "The cow is outside in a transport pod. You'll sign the exchange papers and I'll take her up the ridge before the next storm hits." Lena's mouth went dry. "Exchange papers?" Silence filled the cabin. Mara stepped forward. "It's done, Lena. Don't start making it harder." Lena turned to her father. "What is she talking about?" Her father's eyes avoided hers. We didn't have a choice." Lena stared at him. "A choice about what?" Mara's voice cut in. "About keeping this family alive. The heat cells are almost empty. The crop trays died last week. Your little brothers were coughing all night. You think love keeps people warm? No, a cow does." Lena's hands clenched. "So you traded something? What?" Her father's voice cracked. "We traded you." The words hit her like the cold wind outside. For a second, she could not breathe. The stranger spoke calmly, like this was normal. The man on the ridge agreed. "1 cow for the girl. It's the cleanest deal in this region. No fighting, no debt collectors, no corporate contracts, just a trade." Lena stared at the table, at the cup of hot water, at the cracked wood under her fingers. Then she looked up slowly. "You sold me for a cow?" Mara scoffed. "Don't say it like that. You're going to a strong home, better than starving here." Lena's voice was quiet, but it carried weight. "Do I get to say no?" Her father swallowed. "Lena, please, he's not cruel. People say he's strange, yes, but he pays fairly. He will give you food, shelter, heat." She took a step back. "So that's it, I'm a payment." Her father stood up, desperate. "You're not just a payment, you're saving us." Lena felt tears burn behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had cried enough in this place. Crying did not change storms. It did not fix broken heaters. She looked at the stranger. "Who is he?" "The man on the ridge." The courier hesitated. "Name S. Rowan Vale." Lena had heard the name. People spoke it like a warning, a man who lived above the tree line where the air was thin and the nights were long. A man who worked with machines that no one else understood. A man who did not need anyone. She forced herself to ask, "Why would he want me?" The courier's eyes narrowed slightly. He didn't ask for a servant, he asked for a partner. Someone to keep the ranch running when storms lock him in. Someone to talk to, maybe. I don't know, I just deliver. Myra pushed a small bag toward Lena. "Pack now. Take your coat, your boots, and the thermal scarf." Lena looked at the bag like it was a trap. Her father reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal charm, an old family token shaped like a bird. He placed it in her hand. His fingers shook. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Lena closed her fist around the charm. It was cold and heavy. She did not say she forgave him. She did not say she hated him. She could not find the right words for a wound this deep. Instead, she turned toward the small sleeping room and began to pack. Her movements were slow and controlled. A blanket, a spare shirt, a tiny book of old stories she read when power was out. A water flask. As she packed, she heard the courier speaking quietly with Myra about the route, about the storm window, about how long it would take to climb to the ridge. Her father did not speak again. When Lena came back out with the bag slung over her shoulder, Myra nodded like she was pleased. "Good, don't make a scene." Lena met her eyes. "No scene, just remember this. You will drink that cow's milk and every drop will taste like me." Myra's face tightened, but she said nothing. The courier gestured toward the door. "We should go." Outside, the wind hit Lena hard. The settlement looked smaller now, like a toy village that could be crushed by a boot. Near the path stood the transport pod. Frost coated its surface. Inside was the cow, large, healthy, with thick fur engineered for cold climates. It blinked slowly, calm, and unaware of what it had cost. Lena stared at it for a moment. Then she looked away. The courier led her toward a rugged snow crawler parked near the trail. Its engine hummed low. Metal rails lined the sides, and a bundle of climbing ropes was tied on top. Lena climbed in without help. Her hands were numb, but she kept them steady. As the crawler started moving, she looked back once. Her father stood in the doorway, a thin shadow in the weak light. He did not wave. He just watched, frozen, like a man who had cut off his own arm and did not know how to live without it. The crawler turned and the cabin disappeared behind snow and rock. The climb began. The mountain path was narrow and dangerous. Sharp stones jutted out like blades. The sky grew darker as they rose. Strange trees appeared, tall and black, with faint blue veins in their bark that pulsed like slow heartbeat lights. Lena stared at those glowing veins. She had seen them from far away, but up close they felt unsettling, like the forest was watching. The courier noticed her gaze. "Don't touch the trees," he said. "Some of them carry charge like natural batteries. They can shock you." Lena swallowed. "Does that happen often?" He gave a short laugh. "On this planet, everything happens often." Hours passed. The air grew thinner, colder. The crawler's heater worked better than her old cabin, but Lena still shivered. Finally, the courier pointed ahead. A shape emerged through blowing snow, dark structures clinging to the mountainside. Not a settlement, not a shack. A ranch complex built into stone, with wind shields, solar wings, and tall antenna towers. Lights glowed warmly behind reinforced windows. The place looked like it belonged to someone who knew how to survive. The crawler rolled into a sheltered bay, and the engine powered down. For a moment, there was only the sound of wind outside and the soft ticking of cooling metal. The courier climbed out and helped Lena down, then walked to the main gate. A scanner light swept over him. The gate opened with a smooth, quiet hiss. Lena stepped inside. The air felt different, warmer, cleaner. It smelled like wood, oil, and something sweet, maybe real food. A tall figure stood near the entrance, half in shadow, half in light. He wore a heavy coat, gloves, and boots marked with dried mud and ice. His hair was dark and his face was calm, not angry. His eyes were steady and sharp, like someone who watched storms the way other people watched sunsets. Rowan Vale. Lena's heart hammered. The courier cleared his throat. "Delivered like we agreed." Rowan did not look at the courier at first. He looked at Lena, not like a buyer looks at a product, like a man meeting another human being. He spoke in a low, even voice. "You're Lena." She kept her chin up. "Yes," Rowan nodded once. "You must be tired. Come inside." "You'll eat first." Lena blinked, confused by the words. Eat first? No threats, no orders, no cruel smile, just food. Rowan turned slightly, gesturing toward the warm hallway beyond the gate. "You're safe here," he said. "No one will touch you, no one will force you." This mountain has rules, my rules. Lena stared at him, unsure whether to believe him, but the warmth behind him was real. The light was real, and the way he held himself, steady, controlled, did not feel like a man who enjoyed power over someone. The courier muttered something about payment and left quickly, eager to get back down before the storm. Now Lena stood alone with the mountain man. Rowan waited, patient, like he had all the time in the world. Lena took one slow step forward, then another. And as the heavy door sealed behind her, shutting out the cold wind of Dry Creek Station, she realized something that made her chest ache in a new way. This was not the end of her life. It was the start of a different one. And she had no idea if it would break her, or finally make her strong. The mountain ranch felt different from anything Lena had ever known. Warm air moved quietly through hidden vents. Soft lights glowed along the walls instead of flickering like cheap settlement lamps. Outside, the wind roared against reinforced glass panels, but inside everything felt calm, steady, and safe. Lena stood near the entrance, unsure where to go. She still carried her bag tightly against her chest, like if she let go, someone might take everything from her again. Rowan removed his gloves slowly and hung them on a metal hook. He did not move closer to her too quickly. He seemed careful about space, as if he did not want her to feel trapped. "The kitchen is this way," he said simply. His voice was calm and low, without pressure. Lena followed him down a wide hallway. The floor was warm beneath her boots. Along the walls were strange machines. Some looked like farming tools, others like scanners or repair units. Screens showed weather patterns swirling across the mountain. She noticed something else, too. Everything was clean, organized, nothing felt chaotic. They entered a large kitchen area. Steam rose from a pot on a cooking surface, and the smell made Lena's stomach tighten with hunger. Real food, not dried root powder or ration paste. Rowan handed her a bowl filled with thick soup. "Sit," he said. She hesitated. "You can stand if you prefer," he added quickly. Lena slowly sat down. She took one careful spoonful. Warmth spread through her chest instantly. The taste almost made her cry, but she kept her face still. Rowan leaned against the counter, giving her distance. He did not stare too much. He simply watched enough to make sure she was all right. After a few minutes, Lena spoke quietly. "Why did you agree to the trade?" Rowan's eyes shifted toward the window for a moment before returning to her. "Because your family needed help," he said. "That's not a reason to buy someone." He nodded slowly. "I didn't buy you. I paid your family so they would survive the winter." "You are free to leave whenever you want." Lena froze. "Leave?" "Yes." She studied his face, searching for a trick. "You're serious?" "There is a transport sled. When the storm season ends, you may go wherever you wish. Until then, you are a guest here. If you choose to work, you will be treated as a partner, not property." The words felt unreal. Lena lowered her eyes to the bowl. She had prepared herself for anger, control, or harsh expectations. Instead, she felt confused. "People in the settlement said you were dangerous," she said quietly. Rowan almost smiled. "People say many things." He moved toward a console and tapped a few buttons. A map appeared showing the mountain ranch from above. Several structures were connected by covered walkways. "This place requires maintenance," he explained. "Storm shields, livestock pens, water systems. I cannot manage everything alone forever. So you needed help." "Yes," he said simply, "and maybe company." Lena looked up at him again. That last word sounded honest. After she finished eating, Rowan showed her a small room prepared for her. A bed with thick blankets, a storage locker, and a window looking out toward glowing trees that shimmered faintly in the darkness. "You may rest," he said. "Tomorrow I will show you the ranch." She nodded. When the door closed behind him, Lena sat on the edge of the bed and let out a slow breath she did not know she had been holding. For the first time in years, she felt safe enough to sleep deeply. Morning came slowly. The light outside was pale blue, filtered through clouds. Lena woke to a soft chime from the wall console. She dressed quickly and stepped into the hallway. Rowan waited near the entrance wearing heavy outdoor gear. "We start with the animals," he said. Outside, the cold hit her again, but the suit Rowan gave her kept most of it away. They walked through a covered tunnel toward a wide enclosure built into the mountainside. Inside were creatures she had never seen before, large, horned animals with thick fur and calm eyes. Some hovered slightly above the ground due to anti-gravity implants. Small drones moved among them, checking health readings. "These are ridge walkers," Rowan said. They produce heat energy through biological reaction. They also fertilize the soil. Without them, nothing grows here. Lena watched carefully. She had always been good with animals back in the settlement, even when food was scarce. One ridge walker approached her slowly, sniffing her glove. "She likes you," Rowan said. Lena blinked. "You can tell," he nodded. "They react strongly to emotion." She reached out carefully. The animal's fur was warm and soft. A small smile touched her face without her noticing. Rowan watched quietly. The day passed with small lessons: how to guide drones, how to check water filters, how to read weather alerts. Rowan explained everything patiently, never rushing her. He did not treat her like someone weak. He treated her like someone capable. By afternoon, Lena felt less like a stranger and more like someone learning a new world. During a break, she noticed a locked room at the far end of the corridor. Its door was reinforced with heavy metal. "What's in there?" she asked. Rowan paused slightly. "Old equipment." His answer was short, and Lena sensed there was more to it, but she did not push. Later, as they worked near the outer ridge, Lena saw something strange on the horizon, small moving lights descending through the clouds. "Ships?" she asked. Rowan's expression darkened slightly. "Probably traders or scouts passing through." But his voice held tension. That evening they sat in the kitchen again. The silence between them felt less heavy now. "Why do you live up here alone?" Lena asked gently. Rowan hesitated before answering. "Long ago, I worked for a large corporation. We were supposed to help colonies survive. Instead, they took resources and left people with nothing. I refused. After that, I chose the mountains." Lena nodded slowly. She understood leaving something behind when it no longer felt right. Outside, the wind grew stronger again. As night settled, Lena stood by the window watching snow swirl through the dark sky. She felt different than she had the day before, not owned, not trapped, just uncertain. Rowan approached quietly. "Storm warning, tomorrow we stay inside," she nodded. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lena said softly, "Thank you for not treating me like something traded." Rowan met her eyes. "Everyone deserves respect, especially someone who has not been given enough of it." Lena felt warmth spread through her chest again, not from the heater but from something deeper. The mountain outside roared with wind, but inside the ranch something new was beginning. Trust. The storm came hard during the night. Wind crashed against the mountain ranch like waves against stone. Snow hit the reinforced windows in thick sheets, turning the outside world into a white blur. Inside, warning lights glowed softly along the walls, and the low hum of the shield generators filled the air. Lena woke before sunrise. For a moment she forgot where she was. The warm bed, the quiet room, the steady heat. It felt too peaceful compared to her old life. Then she heard the wind and remembered the mountain. She dressed quickly and stepped into the hallway. Rowan was already awake, standing in front of a large control screen. Weather patterns moved across the display like living creatures. "Good morning," he said without turning. "Storm will last most of the day." Lena nodded and walked closer. She had begun to understand some of the symbols on the screen. "Is it dangerous?" she asked. "For travelers, yes," Rowan said. "For us, only if systems fail." She noticed several small alerts blinking on the screen. Rowan tapped commands calmly, adjusting shield levels and redirecting energy from solar batteries to internal power. "You do this alone every storm?" she asked. He nodded. Lena crossed her arms. "Not anymore." Rowan glanced at her briefly, surprised, then gave a small nod of approval. They worked together throughout the morning. Lena monitored the livestock cameras while Rowan checked structural sensors. The ridge walkers stayed calm in their pens, their bodies glowing faintly as they generated heat energy. As the hours passed, Lena felt something new: confidence. She was not just surviving here, she was helping. Near midday, a sharp alarm sounded. A red light flashed across the main console. Rowan's expression changed instantly. "External signal detected." Lena looked at the screen. A blinking icon moved slowly across the mountain map. "A ship?" she asked. "Yes," Rowan said quietly. The signal grew stronger. Rowan activated an outside camera. Through swirling snow, a sleek transport craft appeared, hovering just above the landing area. Its metal surface was smooth and dark, marked with a corporate symbol Lena recognized from settlement rumors. Her stomach tightened. "They found you," she said. Rowan's jaw tightened slightly. "I expected this someday." The ship lowered slowly and locked into place with mechanical precision. A ramp extended from its side. Three figures stepped out, wearing heavy armored suits. Lena felt fear rise in her chest. "What do they want?" she whispered. Rowan turned toward her. "Listen carefully, stay behind me, and remember you are not property. No one has the right to take you anywhere." His words steadied her. The front gate opened with a controlled hiss. Cold air rushed inside as the visitors entered. Their boots echoed against the metal floor. The leader removed his helmet, revealing a sharp-faced man with calculating eyes. "Rowan Vale," he said smoothly. "You've been difficult to find." Rowan stood still, calm but alert. "You should leave." The man smiled slightly. "Straight to business. Good. We represent Helix Frontier Corporation. You left without finishing your contract years ago. That makes certain assets under your care still ours." Lena felt anger rise inside her. They spoke like everything was a thing to be owned. Rowan crossed his arms. "This land is independent territory. You have no authority here." "Oh, but we do," the man replied. He glanced around, scanning the ranch interior. "You've done impressive work, advanced systems, modified livestock," and his eyes moved toward Lena, "new acquisitions." Lena's spine straightened. She refused to step back. "I'm not an acquisition," she said clearly. The man looked amused. "Interesting." Rowan stepped slightly in front of her. "You've said what you came to say, now leave." The man's smile faded. "We came for the Vitagen livestock. Records show a rare genetic strain traded to you recently. That animal belongs to our corporation." Lena realized immediately the cow, the one her family received. "They tracked it," she whispered. Rowan nodded slightly. "You're not taking anything," Rowan said firmly. The corporate man sighed. "You always were stubborn, Vale, but this time you don't have a choice." Behind him, one of the armored guards activated a scanning device. Lights flickered across the room. Lena felt fear again, but she also felt something stronger, anger. She had been traded once already. She would not be treated like an object again. "You come here during a storm," she said boldly. "That means you're desperate." The man's eyes narrowed slightly. "And you are?" "Someone who lives here," she replied. Rowan glanced at her briefly, surprise and respect mixing in his expression. The corporate man tapped a control on his wrist. "We will search the property, cooperate, and no one gets hurt." Rowan's voice became colder. "You take one step further without permission and the mountain itself will fight you." For a moment, silence filled the room. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The guards hesitated. Lena noticed Rowan's hand resting near a small control panel on the wall. He looked calm, but she sensed hidden readiness. The corporate man studied Rowan carefully, then laughed softly. "Still dramatic. Fine, we'll wait until the storm clears. Then we return with proper authority." He turned toward Lena one last time. "Think carefully about who you stand beside. Some men bring danger wherever they go." Lena met his gaze without fear. "Some people bring danger because they don't know how to respect others." The man's smile faded completely. He replaced his helmet and turned away. The three figures walked back toward their ship. The gate sealed behind them. Lena released a breath she had not realized she was holding. "They'll come back," she said. "Yes," Rowan answered quietly. She looked at him. "Are we ready?" Rowan hesitated. "I never wanted you involved in this." She shook her head. "I'm already involved. They see me as something you own. I want them to see they're wrong." Rowan studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Then we prepare together." The rest of the day became a blur of activity. Rowan showed her hidden defense systems built into the mountain. Not weapons meant for harm, but shields, signal disruptors, and drones designed to protect the ranch. Lena learned quickly. As night fell, the storm outside began to weaken, but tension inside the ranch grew stronger. They stood together near the window, watching the distant ship lights flicker through snow. "They won't give up easily," Lena said. "No," Rowan agreed, "but neither will we." She glanced at him. For the first time since arriving, she did not feel like a stranger standing beside him. She felt like a partner. Outside, the mountain winds slowed, and both of them knew the real battle was coming soon. Morning arrived slowly over the mountain. The storm clouds had begun to break apart, leaving streaks of pale sunlight across the snow-covered cliffs. The air felt heavy and quiet, like the world was holding its breath. Lena stood near the main window, watching the corporate ship resting on a nearby ridge. Thin trails of steam rose from its engines. It had not moved during the night. "They're waiting," she said softly. Rowan nodded from behind her. He was already dressed in his outdoor gear, checking a small control pad in his hands. "They want clear weather before they act." Lena crossed her arms. She felt nervous but not helpless. Over the past days, she had learned more than she ever expected: how the ranch worked, how the mountain protected itself, and most importantly, how Rowan trusted her. "What's the plan?" she asked. Rowan looked at her directly. "We avoid violence, but we make it clear they cannot take anything from here." She nodded. They moved together through the ranch, activating defensive systems. Shields powered up along the outer structures, creating faint glowing lines across the snow. Small drones rose quietly into the sky, positioning themselves like silent watchers. Lena controlled the livestock cameras, making sure the ridge walkers were safe. She had grown fond of the animals. They moved calmly, unaware of the tension building outside. Suddenly, an alert sounded. The corporate ship's ramp lowered again. "They're coming," Lena said. Rowan walked toward the entrance calmly. "Stay close, but let me speak first." The gate opened. 3 figures approached again, but this time they moved with more confidence. The leader removed his helmet as before, his sharp eyes scanning everything. "I see you've prepared," he said with a thin smile. Rowan's voice remained steady. "You were told to leave." The man clasped his hands behind his back. "And you were told the livestock belongs to us. We have authorization now." He held up a small device projecting legal symbols into the air. Lena stepped forward slightly. "Authorization from who?" "The settlements here don't follow corporate law." The man's eyes flicked toward her. "You speak boldly for someone who was traded like cargo." The words hit her chest, but she did not step back. "I was traded by people who were desperate," she said calmly. "That doesn't make me something you can take." Rowan felt a small surge of pride hearing her speak. The corporate man sighed as if tired of the conversation. "Enough! We take the animal and leave, resist, and things become unpleasant." Rowan pressed a button on the wall. Outside, several shield towers activated fully. Energy barriers shimmered faintly across the ranch perimeter. "You won't pass," Rowan said quietly. The guards shifted uneasily. The corporate man's expression hardened. "You really want to start a conflict over one animal?" "It's not about the animal," Rowan replied. "It's about control. You don't own people or independent colonies." The man stepped closer. "You still believe in ideals. That's why you failed with us." Silence hung between them. Lena watched both men carefully. She realized something important. The corporation did not expect resistance. They expected fear. She stepped forward again. "You track the cow because of its genetics, right? That means you don't want a public fight. If news spreads that you're forcing trades on frontier colonies, your reputation suffers." The man's eyes narrowed slightly. He had not expected her to understand. Rowan glanced at her, surprised but impressed. "You're clever," the corporate man said slowly. "But clever doesn't change ownership." Lena shook her head. "No, but truth does." She moved to the control console and projected a signal onto the main screen. A recording appeared, the trade agreement from Dry Creek Station. It clearly showed Rowan transferring resources and heat cells in exchange for the animal, without corporate involvement. "I found this in the settlement records," she said. "You abandoned that colony years ago. That makes their agreements independent." Rowan realized she had accessed the communication archives during the night. The corporate man stared at the recording. His calm mask cracked slightly. "You've been busy," he muttered. Lena met his gaze steadily. "You came here expecting a lonely man and a silent girl." "You were wrong." The guards shifted again, unsure. Rowan crossed his arms. "Leave now, take your ship and go. Next time you return, you won't be welcomed peacefully." The man hesitated. He was calculating risks: the storm damage, the independent claim, the possible public exposure. Finally, he gave a short, frustrated laugh. "This isn't over," he said, "but today we leave." He turned sharply and walked back toward the ship. The guards followed. The ramp closed, engines powered up. Lena and Rowan watched silently as the ship lifted into the sky and disappeared beyond the clouds. The mountain grew quiet again. Lena exhaled slowly, realizing how tense her body had been. "It's done?" she asked. "For now," Rowan said. They stood together for a moment in silence. Then Rowan turned to her. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," she said gently. "I'm not someone who stands behind anymore." A small smile touched Rowan's face, the first real smile she had seen from him. The rest of the day passed in peaceful work. They checked systems, fed the ridge walkers, and repaired minor storm damage. As the sun began to set, golden light spread across the mountains. The glowing trees shimmered softly in the distance. Lena stood on the outer platform, looking at the endless horizon. "I thought my life ended when I left the settlement," she said quietly. But now, it feels like it's just starting. Rowan joined her, leaning against the railing. You are free to leave when the pass is open, he said gently. I meant what I said, she nodded slowly. I know, she replied. Then she turned to him. But I don't want to leave, he looked at her surprised. I want to stay, she continued. Not because I was traded. Because I choose this place, and because I feel respected here. Rowan's expression softened. This mountain can be lonely, he said. Lena smiled slightly. Not anymore. The wind moved gently around them, carrying the smell of snow and pine. Below, the ranch lights turned on one by one, warm against the growing darkness. A new life had begun, not built on ownership or trade, but on trust, choice, and quiet strength shared between two people who had both been alone for too long. And high above the world, on a mountain once ruled by silence, Hope finally felt at home.